shine. She's a part of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie, the riveter, keeps a sharp lookout for sabotage. Sitting up there on the fuselage. That little frail can do more than a male can do. Rosie, the riveter, Rosie.
All right, A-pushers, welcome back. It's been a little while since our last episode, so we're coming at you with the second half of Chapter 25 notes. It's World War II, the good war. It's the home front and concluding the war. It's all about that fighting at home at the home front. World War II is from 1939, 1945. The United States gets involved in 1941. Our little quote to start off our thing is our beautiful propaganda song, Rosa has a boyfriend, Charlie. Charlie, he's a Marine. Rosie's helping Charlie working overtime on the riveting machine. That's a hit song called Rosie the Riveter by the Four Bag Bonds. Hit single in 1943. Let's go straight to the knowledge, people. I know you're not here for the singing. You're here for them notes. So let's get right to it. World War II, the home front. Mobilization. It means getting ready for war. We got the federal government taking control of business just like they did in World War I. We got the War of Production Board and the Office of War Mobilization, the Office of Price Administration, which sets pricing and rationing of goods, the OPA, setting prices, rationing goods. If you don't know what ration is, it means that it's limiting an amount to keep down inflation and to make sure that there's a steady supply of stuff for the soldiers on the home or on the front. The war front, not the home front. Paying for the war. We got deficit spending, war bonds, and increased income taxes are used to pay for the war. The national debt by the end of the war is $250 billion. This gives you some idea of how big World War II is. Can we even really count World War I as a real World War I? Because it was just tiny compared to World War II. Business and industry boom. The depression is over. No more depression. Unemployment is back down to zero, or actually like 0.9% or something. It's like right around 1%, which is crazy low. It means everyone had a job. Everyone and their mom had a job. Everyone and their mom's mom had a job. Research and development. Government funds research to create new technologies such as radar, sonar, medicine, jet engines. And on top of that, the top secret hush Manhattan Project that was used to develop the atomic bomb. Yeah. A-bomb. Baby, we're going nuclear. Nuclear. Homefront continued. Wartime propaganda. The Office of War Information. You gotta love that propaganda. It's any kind of media that tries to convince you to think one way or another. The Office of War Information controlled the news and made sure that movies, radios, and popular music, you got it, Rosie the Riveter, all supported the war. It was the unity of America's behind the war. Democratic ideals equals the good war. Unlike World War I, where it was about money and power, World War II is about democracies versus dictatorships. We're the democracies. War's impact on society. African Americans fought in World War II in segregated units. The civil rights leaders adopted a double V slogan: victory over fascism abroad and victory over segregation, equality at home. The NAACP, or the National Association for the Advancement of Colored Persons, membership increases. A new organization is formed, the Congress of Racial Equality, or CORE. Vernon Baker wins the Congressional Medal of Honor, although he doesn't actually get it until like in the 1990s. But, that's the thing. The Tuskegee Airmen, probably the most famous African Americans were the Tuskegee Airmen. They made a movie about them called Red Tails because they had red tails on their planes. They served with distinction and helped end segregation in the armed forces. Fun fact, World War II will be the last segregated war. The Korean War will be an integrated war. Integrated means everyone together. World War II impacts on society. Mexican Americans, we have the Bracero program, encouraging Mexicans to move to the United States to work on farms. During the Great Depression, Mexicans moved back to Mexico because there weren't no jobs in the United States. But then, during World War II, there's jobs everywhere. So much so that the U.S. government is taking empty buses to Mexico, loading up full of Mexicans and bringing them back to the United States. How times have changed. A rapid influx of immigration leads to the so-called Zoot Suit riots in the summer of 1943, which were Hispanic teenagers versus young military men stationed in San Diego. Those riots in the streets. You don't love to see it. American Indians joined the military, the most famous being the Navajo Code Talkers. They were the only unbroken code in World War II. All they did was talk in Navajo, and it really confused everyone. It was on the Star Test once. Make sure you look out for that, guys. That's good stuff. I think they made a movie about this too, but it's not as famous as the Red Tails. Japanese Americans were discriminated against because they were Japanese. Just kidding. They were Americans. But they were discriminated against because they looked Japanese. Although many served in the military, irrational fear and racism led to Executive Order 6099, which placed all Japanese, that's FDR, the same guy who did the New Deal, he's still president, which placed all Japanese Americans in relocation internment concentration camps in the interior of the country. One of those Japanese persons, Korematsu, sued the United States, and in the famous Supreme Court case Korematsu versus the United States in 1944, the Supreme Court rules that it was justified to put all Japanese-looking people in concentration camps, even though they're citizens of the United States, because it's wartime. And just like Schenck versus the United States in World War I, you can limit your freedom in times of war. Got to keep everyone safe. World War II impacts in society continued. Women. 6 million women joined the workforce. Rosie the Riveter. Rosie the Riveter. We can do it, if you remember that great propaganda poster. Wartime solidarity. World War II unites the country like never before. Everyone is united in the war effort. In the election of 1944, it's Franklin D. Roosevelt versus Dewey. Roosevelt wins again. He runs a fourth time, but he dies 3 months after his inauguration. He was president for life. Closest thing we've ever had to a dictator. Harry S. Truman becomes president, ends World War II, and starts the Cold War. One of the top 10 underrated presidents. If I ever do a bonus episode, it'll be top 10 underrated presidents, maybe top 5 underrated president, and Harry S. Truman will be high up on the list. How high up on the list, I don't even know, but give me a shout in the comments if you think that would be a cool episode. 22nd Amendment, we might do an amendments episode and a Supreme Court case episode. Those might be good for studying for the actual AP exam. 22nd Amendment, 2 terms in office. Speaking of amendment, episode 22, 2 terms, 22, only 2 terms. So this was added to the Constitution that limits to a president to only 2 terms in office or a total of 10 years. So we can't have more than 2-term presidents now, so there's something. So FDR is going to be the only one. It takes a lot of guts to think you're more important than George Washington. World War II, the battlefronts. There's 2 theaters of operation, Europe and the Pacific Ocean. It's going to be Germany first and then Japan next. Fighting in Germany, the Soviets defeat the Germans at the Battle of Stalingrad. It's a turning point battle. It costs them millions of soldiers, but they defeat the Germans and start pushing them backwards towards Germany. For the United States, we need to defeat the German submarines. This is called the Battle of Atlantic. We do this using radar, sonar, and bombing German submarine bases. Also using airplanes to spot submarines, and also operating in convoys. And then number 2, 24-hour bombing of German cities to get them to surrender. So this is the Air Force is going to be really, really important in World War II. It is the technology. Airplanes are the technology of World War II. And bombing. Airplanes that bomb things. And then the fighter planes that protect the bombers so that they can bomb things. The secret plan, or the Nazi secret plan, is to go to North Africa to Italy. They call it Operation Torch. It's led by a pretty good general named General Dwight D. Eisenhower. He's successful in taking control of all of North Africa by May of 1943, and then they go on to invade Italy next. Mussolini falls from power, but the Nazis hold on in northern Italy until the end of the war. So Mussolini gets killed by his own people, but going through the Alps in the northern part of Italy turns to be very difficult, and it proves to be a dead end. So we'll have to attack the Nazis from a different direction. Speaking of a different direction, that's D-Day and victory in Europe. June 6, 1944, they decide that instead of going through Italy, that's just going to be a distraction, and we're going to commit our largest forces in Nazi-controlled France. So storming the beaches of Normandy. They call it D-Day. It's the largest invasion in military history. General Eisenhower, again, is the leader here. He successfully leads an invasion. There was lots of casualties on the different beaches, but they're able to establish a beachhead and then just take control over all of France. The Battle of the Bulge, the last final attempt of Hitler to try to break through the Allied lines. It's defeated. The United States marches on towards Berlin. Hitler commits suicide, and Germany surrenders. It's Victory in Europe Day. Woohoo! U.S. troops marching through Germany liberate the concentration camps and expose the Nazi genocide of the Jewish people. This is known as the Holocaust. There was rumors that this was happening, but until the troops actually liberate the concentration camps, then it is exposed, and people are like, whoa, this was really, really, really bad. Hitler killed 6 million Jews and other undesirables in those death camps. So there's only 14 million Jews in the world, and he killed roughly 50% of it. So he was very good at killing Jews, which was terrible. Fighting in Japan. Japan seized the Philippines after Pearl Harbor. General Douglas MacArthur promises he shall return. That's General Douglas MacArthur, another famous general from World War II. The Battle of Midway Island is the turning point of the war. It happens in 1942. It's a naval battle. It's not actually on Midway Island. It's like off the coast of Midway Island. The United States decoded Japanese messages and defeats the Japanese fleet and ends Japanese expansion. So from now on, the Japanese will be on defense and the United States will be on the attack. Our attacking strategy is known as island hopping. It's a U.S. strategy of only taking strategic islands and skipping over the rest to get close enough to the mainland Japan to bomb them. So instead of trying to fight every single island, we just pick really strategic ones and we don't care about the other ones. Major battles. The Battle of Leyte Gulf, 1944, the largest naval battle in history. The Japanese Navy is virtually destroyed. It's not completely destroyed, but mostly destroyed. And the Japanese start using suicide bombers known as kamikazes, showing their desperation, but also their willingness to fight on until there's nobody alive. In the famous Battle of Iwo Jima is where they do that flag raising thing. So if you ever seen that statue of them raising the flag, that's on the Battle of Iwo Jima. But a more strategically important battle was the Battle of Okinawa, which is a large island just to the south of Japan's mainland. The United States is victorious but suffers 50,000 casualties to capture this island, but it sets us up with a base that's close enough to mainland Japan that we can start running all-day bombing raids on the main targets in Japan. Speaking of bombing raids, Harry S. Truman is made aware when he becomes president that we have an atomic bomb. Prior to this, he did not actually know this. J.R. Oppenheimer was the chief scientist behind the atomic bomb. They created this, and it was called the Manhattan Project, and they split an atom, and it blew up. Albert Einstein said that the Nazis were researching this as well. He alerted FDR, who then proceeded to recruit a team to build our own atomic bomb. It was tested successfully in 1945 in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and Harry S. Truman orders atomic bombs to be dropped on Hiroshima and after another 3 days later on Nagasaki, killing about 250,000 Japanese people. And Japan then surrenders after seeing this awesome, terrible new weapon. There's a lot of debate whether Harry S. Truman should have dropped the atomic bomb or dropped 2 atomic bombs. Hit me up in the comments if you think he should have dropped 2 or he should have just dropped 1, or maybe show the Japanese people by blowing up something else that wasn't a whole bunch of innocent people. No one has ever used atomic bombs ever against them, so a lot of people say that, Harry S. Truman really a monster. So let me know what you guys think, and we'll see what kill him, don't kill him, atomic bombs, don't atomic bomb. Make sure you include your reasoning. Wartime conferences, the big 3. These notes are starting to get on for a little bit, so we better wrap it all up here. We're getting pretty close. Wartime conferences, the big 3, United States, Great Britain, and Soviet Union. France is not part of the big 3 anymore, and neither is Italy. And Germany is not, because they're dead. They're divided. So they meet to plan strategy and post-war aims. They meet at Casablanca, Tehran, Yalta, and Potsdam. The most important one being the Yalta Conference. At Casablanca, it's just Roosevelt and Churchill agree to a European strategy. In Tehran, they agree that the Allies should liberate France, and the Soviet Union would help the United States defeat Japan. At the Yalta Conference, though, they really work out the post-war plans. So Germany would be divided into occupation zones. Berlin, the capital of Germany, would also be divided into occupation zones between the Allies and the Soviet Union. Free elections would be held in the liberated countries of Eastern Europe. Although this didn't happen, that was the plan, that it should have happened. The Soviet Union would enter the war against Japan. Turns out we really didn't need them because we had atomic bombs, but we didn't know that at the time. The Soviet Union would get some land in the Pacific from Japan. I believe they do. and a new international organization to promote peace would be created. This was called the United Nations. We still have the United Nations to this very day. What do you know? So that actually happened too. At Potsdam, the Big Three agreed that Japan would surrender unconditionally, and war crime trials would be held for the Nazis. They're called the Nuremberg trials, where they try them for the Holocaust. The war's legacy. The cost. It's the deadliest war in human history. It's the biggest war in human history. It created a huge national debt, but other than that, not so bad. The United States emerges as a world superpower. And as soon as the war is over, for at least the first 4 years, the lone superpower. The biggest, most powerful country in the world, and the only one who has atomic bombs. But the United States is committed to internationalism. This is evidenced by the United Nations peacekeeping organization in 1945, based in New York City. The United States joins and actually helps write the charter. So unlike World War I, where we refused to join the League of Nations, the United States leads the way in forming the United Nations. Expectations. There's a new world order, like old dictatorships and dictatorships have crumbled, and there's going to be a new world order based on democracy. So they think. Hopes were high that it was going to be a better world, most prosperous and powerful nation in the world, so led by us. The Soviet Union would go from being our ally in World War II to our enemy for the next 45 years, from 1946 to 1991. A period of tension between these two great superpowers would become known as the Cold War, which is going to be what we talk about in Chapter 26. So we're cruising right along to the Cold War. And that, students, is the end of our notes. We got it pretty close to 15 minutes. As always, like, comment. I love to hear your comments. Tell your friends. Tell your friends' friends. And remember, A-pushers, never give up. I believe in you guys. Let's make it happen. Until next time, Mr. B History, signing out.